All right, cool. What's up? Flat Earth SubGenius here. Oh, I gotta mute this. But this is gonna, as the first Flat Earth SubGenius, at least publicly, and as a SubGenius in general, I have every right to actually ask for money and ask you for money, and I haven't. I became a SubGenius in 2015 officially, an official member. I've known about the Church of the SubGenius for a long time before that, since like 2012, maybe even before. And I learned it through Robert Anton Wilson. And he's always talking about it in his books and quoting it and saying, so I just eventually looked into it, as Eddie Bravo says. And it just leads you down some very interesting rabbit holes. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the trailer to a first look at the Church of the SubGenius documentary that's premiering in 4 days. And it's going to be 1,000 times better than the Flat Earth documentary Behind the Curve. It's not going to misrepresent SubGenii. And I wanted to do this last night, on the 5th, March 5th, and then premiering in 5 days, the law of fives. If you have anything to do with Discord, but I have so much stuff to show you here. I'm very excited. Like I'm a goddamn SubGenius, and I don't even ask for money, and I should. Like that's the whole point of becoming a SubGenius, is to increase your slack, to get your slack back from the conspiracy that took it from you when you were born. I don't understand why that's such a hard all globe heads are pink boys. If you don't know what a pink boy is, you're a pink boy. Look up what a pink boy is. All globe heads, all ball earthers are pink boys. I'll make a video about that fucking next. All globe earthers, all ball earthers are pink boys or pink girls. But you're a pink boy. You're a pink. You're a normal. Mediocre. I should be asking for, I should have a fucking, I should ask for money every goddamn, and it's like all of the people who ask for money and have Patreons and are constantly thanking. I mean, that's cool to have supporters and you know, little think tanks and little clubs that you're in. It's cool. You know, the Church of the SubGenius is a little you know, fuckboy, fucktard. There's a lot of fools in it, but there's a lot less fools than the Globe cult, the Globe cult. I just don't understand why I don't get myself more opportunities for money. It's like that's weird. I'm like making my own life harder when dumb, undeserving people, they get money handed to them and they're dumb and undeserving. Really weird. Why would I do that to myself? Strange.
Time to take the precautionary measures to protect your home and family. Giving is receiving. Giving.
Well, that was short-lived. All right, I'll check out I'll check out the chat room in a second here. There's probably not too many people because you don't understand, and that's okay. what do we got here? So I'll just read the. I'm actually purposely making people wait. Oh, what do you know? 5 watching. Only Felix has the balls to be here. Hey, Felix. All right, check this out, Felix. So the director is Sandy Boone, and I'll I'll be playing her interview, and she's with Church of the SubGenius co-founder Ivan Stang, Reverend Ivan Stang. The interview by Sandy K. Boone is the director of the SubGenius documentary, and it's Bob Dobbs, not Bob Hobbs, you dumbasses. That's the pretty, wonderfully beautiful aura of Sandy Boone. Religion is not a funny matter to the faithful. Unless, of course, you happen to be a devoted member of one of the most predominant parody religions in the United States, the Church of the SubGenius. F them if they can't take a joke is the church's mantra. One has been keenly observed for more than 3 decades by co-founders Douglas St. Clair Smith, aka Reverend Ivan Stang, and Steve Wilcox, aka Dr. Philo Drummond. Directed by the Austin-based Sandy K. Boone, the SXSW Film Festival entry J.R. Bob Dobbs and the Church of the SubGenius chronicles the creation of the fringe cult by the Dallas-based Smith and Wilcox as a weird fringe cult for weirdos, specifically for weirdos, as well as its improbable rise in popularity in the 1980s among those who quickly got the joke and were seeking a way to voice their establishmentarian views. The documentary also provides a history of the church's fictional leader. It's not fictional. That's clearly whoever's writing this is not a SubGenius. J.R. Bob Dobbs is a real person, based off a real person, and is actually alive right now. And focuses on the church's philosophy of slack, a state of being that can only be achieved when a member is no longer harried by the establishment, as represented by the normals. J.R. Bob Dobbs and the Church of the SubGenius will screen during the SXSW Film Festival at 3 p.m. March 10th at the Adam Theater at the Austin Convention Center, 9 p.m. March 12th at the AFS Cinema. Yeah. Her late husband, filmmaker David Boone, was a member of the Church of the SubGenius. So yeah, I'll play that. I'll play this interview after I show you the trailer, which I'm about to show you. So now I will show you the first look, a sneak peek to the lucky people that are here. But maybe first I should make you wait. Yo, what's up, Elliot? What's up, Eric? Yeah, you know what? The viewers just went down. Yeah, I'm going to make you wait. So now, I'm going to play this in the meantime. This is not the trailer. This is a pre-trailer for the real trailer that I'm about to play after this pre-trailer. And it's your fault because there's not enough people here. And this documentary will be 1,000 times better than the Flat Earth documentary that just came out that misrepresented the Flat Earth community.
No, I've devoted my entire life to this. It's funny. You've never seen it. Trailer? Oh. Actually, it's Christopher Stewart. No better than being the first with an open. What is this? Some kind of sick experiment? Sometimes it's better to live on your knees. You got it.
Yeah, the audio is not too good, but, you know, fuck them. The audio will be better on the real trailer that I will play after this pre-trailer. It was your fault. You're being punished. With slack. Even false slack is better than your regular bullshit that you slam into yourself. So even if you think this, even if this is false slack, it's better than the shit that you cram it into yourself.
Actually, it's Christopher Stewart. No better than being the first with an open. What is this? Some kind of sick experiment? Sometimes it's better to live on your knees. You got it. You go right, you'll have freedom, power to do what you want, make your own destiny. But you'll fight that battle on your own. But first, go left, and I'll show you that power to exert your will on others.
Only if it's based on love.
It's your decision. Go ahead. Jump.
Our job is to simulate life. Waking should feel like the first time, every time. You may be asking yourself, how can it be the first time, every time? With JR on our side, anything is possible.
That's what you get. It's your fault. Alright, but seriously, I want to show you this trailer. Alright, Elliot and Felix, I know you probably already seen the trailer, Felix, I know you have. But Elliot probably hasn't. And the 7 other people and Eric most definitely haven't seen it. The Thirst for Truth probably hasn't seen it. So, Conan, what's up, son? Yo, like and share. As an official ordained minister of the Church of the SubGenius, I have the excuse to ask for money and donations at all times. For any reason I desire. Especially if it's for Bob. Most certainly if it's for Bob. So here, blessed be through Eris and Bob, I will finally bestow upon you the first look, the trailer, for the Church of the SubGenius documentary movie that will be premiering in 4 days. This is taking too long because my computer has so many fucking tabs up. Watch the trailer. Here goes. Hold on. Press 23 or 5 if you want to see this trailer. Like, you got to type 23 or 5. Well, I guess nobody wants to see the trailer, and there has to be 5 likes. There has to be 5 likes. There's only 4 likes here, and there needs to be 5 likes. There has to be 5 likes. Otherwise, I'm not going to play the trailer. Somebody press the like button, and so I can play the trailer. Pretty please. Praise Bob. Come on. Press like and share. I didn't even share this. Hold on. Let me. Oh, it's to 6. Hold on. Let me unlike it. All right. There's 5. Hold on. Let me share this link to some groups real quick. I'm going to share this link to some groups very quickly, so the viewers will go up to 10 or 12, possibly even 15. I know, it's just so many viewers, you know. Maybe if I was Christian, I'd get more viewers. Unfortunately, I'm a SubGenius. Alrighty then. Come on. I'm going to play the trailer for the Church of the SubGenius documentary. That's going to be 1,000 times better than the Flat Earth documentary Behind the Curve. Great. You got it. Yes. So if you be patient and relax, that's a trick of the trade that I've been learning here. You know, I sometimes slack off so much that I can hurry with haste in other things in life. But, you know, that's been it's been bringing me down lately. Too much haste. So I've been really slacking off and relaxing more. And it's been helping. Just relaxing. I mean, like, my computer is so full of tabs and documents and articles and things that I'm reading that it feels like it's slowing down my own physiology, my own brain. So I spent like 5 hours today just reading articles and deleting them, and it's made my computer a little bit faster. I feel like when my computer is running faster, that then my other computer runs faster, if you know what I mean. So let me share this. I haven't watched this yet. Flat Earth Outtakes #1. I'm not quite sure who made it, but whatever, man. I will watch videos and read articles and share amazing information. Just give me another minute here and I'll play that SubGenius documentary first look at the trailer. My computer is so slow, it's a lot slower than normal because I have so many tabs up. I got Microsoft Word for my book, Skype, Discord, I don't even know what the heck this is, Microsoft Excel tweets, Hold on, just let me share this. If you like and share this and subscribe, that would be cool. Dan W is a SubGenius now. My buddy Sean is a SubGenius now, and they each tripled their money back, guaranteed, like I told them, and they have physical proof of it. All right, let me share on Twitter. Like again. Share on Twitter, and then I'll play the trailer. I should share on Facebook. You know, this is the type of stuff you got to do when you know, you're trying to. I mean, I should have done this all prior to starting this hangout, and you know, but I really don't care because you know, I'm gonna watch the trailer again, and I'm gonna show you the trailer. So it's only wasting like 10 minutes of time, and it's still fun because you guys get to interact in the chat room. Maybe do your own thing while you're waiting. See, now you got 15 watching. You got it. Enjoy it. And I'll go to Facebook real quick. I get BO in the shower. All right. So I'm excited. I'm about to play the sneak peek, the first look at the trailer. It's got some very cool actors in the movie. What's that one guy's name? Nick Offerman. He's like the most famous SubGenius I know now. Nick Offerman, the guy from Parks and Recreation. Is that what that show is called? I've only just seen clips of that show. Wow, my computer is so slow. The fuck is this? How do I share? Oh. Alright. Alright, now I'm going to go back to the chat room. Sorry for wasting some of your precious life, you know, that I'm about to show you the, you know, I'm just sorry I'm introducing to you. There we go. Then I will delete it. Yep, it's gone. Get rid of this. Move this back down. And okay. Yeah, actually I do pee on the side of the toilet at night to make less noise. That is true. That is a good guess. Hell, Maine over the sog frang whole tarn. Texas is kind of far. I know, Felix. I asked some of the predominant members, the leaders, if I had to fly there to Texas to go see it, and Ivan Stang doesn't even have a copy yet of the movie, Felix. So Ivan Stang himself does not have a copy of the movie. So here goes. Finally, got 14 people watching. The Law of Fives. So I finally will reveal to you. Thank you for being here. And here is the trailer.
Have you ever wondered about your neighbors? Maybe wondered about the weird thumps and bumps and chants emanating from their apartment?
I was once a degenerate, but Bob saved me.
It's the Church of the SubGenius. Their prophet's name is Bob.
I am the image of Bob's head in the bedpan.
If Jim Jones could talk 900 people into killing themselves, we could talk 900 people into sending us $1.
You don't get rich writing science fiction. If you want to get rich, you start a religion.
I grew up as a little white boy in the 1950s in a middle-class home. I really did feel like a weirdo. We have this sort of an icon we blame everything on. The conspiracy of normalcy.
Wouldn't you like revenge on these mediocrities, these normals who have made normality the norm?
We were grasping for this crazy religion to help us see the light.
We tied together every fringe belief you could think of. Made perfect sense to me.
Repent! Quit your job! Slack off!
We offer eternal salvation or triple your money back. SubGenius was a club.
That was Tyler. The SubGenius was a club. It was a badge.
You may think it's funny, we hope you do. We are trying to deliver medicine of the sword. Y'all are out.
Nick Offerman.
It's funny, we hope you do. We are trying to deliver medicine of the sword.
One more time.
Funny, we hope you do. We are trying. You may think it's funny, we hope you do. We are trying to deliver medicine of the sword. Y'all are out to put down outrageous cult groups. What does this mean? No, this is an outrageous cult group. Not everyone in the Church of SubGenius gets along with one another.
It was a little bit scary. We realized some crazy people are attracted to this.
It got a little too far out for me.
It's very effective to slice the world up and to pit everyone against each other. We believe that you do need to eliminate and exterminate all one.
If you want to sell a religion, you have to kill the deity. That's how you do it.
The conspiracy constantly grows. What's an evidence? There's always going to be a conspiracy. It can morph, it can evolve, and so can the Church of the SubGenius.
They actually are a religion that seems like an art piece, that seems like a religion, that seems like performance art, that seems like a joke, that seems like a religion.
Seriously, it does get really strange.
Have you ever wondered about your neighbor?
That seems like an art. They actually are a religion that seems like an art piece, that seems like a religion, that seems like performance art, that seems like a joke, that seems like a religion.
Isn't that amazing?
Have you ever wondered about your neighbors? Maybe wondered about the weird thumps and bumps and chants emanating from their apartment?
I was once a degenerate, but Bob saved me.
It's the Church of the SubGenius. Their prophet's name is Bob.
I am the image of Bob's head in the bedpan.
If Jim Jones could talk 900 people into killing themselves, we could talk 900 people into sending us $1.
I grew up as a little white boy in the 1950s in a middle-class home. I really did feel like a weirdo. We have this sort of an icon we can blame everything on. The conspiracy of normalcy.
Wouldn't you like revenge on these mediocrities, these normals who have made normality the norm?
We were grasping for this crazy religion to help us see the light.
We tied together every fringe belief you could think of.
Made perfect sense to me.
Repent! Quit your job! Slack off!
We offer eternal salvation or triple with money back. SubGenius was close. You may think it's funny, we hope you do. We are trying to deliver medicine in the story.
Y'all are out to put down outrageous cult groups. What does this mean?
No, this is an outrageous cult group. Not everyone in the church and SubGenius gets along with one another. It was a little bit scary. We realized some crazy people are attracted to this.
It got a little too far out for me.
It's very effective to slice the world up and to pit everyone against each other.
We believe that you do need to eliminate and exterminate all forms.
If you want to sell a religion, you have to kill the deity. That's how you do it.
The conspiracy is constantly growing.
And then
There's always going to be a conspiracy. It can morph, it can evolve, and so can the trick to the SubGenius.
They actually are a religion that seems like an art piece, that seems like a religion, that seems like performance art, that seems like a joke, that seems like a religion.
Fucking love it. Alrighty then. Doc looks at a religious hoax. Sandy Boone's new film looks at how a fake church, it's not a fake church actually, it's a real church. Again, do your research, Steve Green. It's a real church. It's not a fake church. I am an ordained minister that can marry people and also divorce people. Let's see here. Sandy Boone's new film looks at how a real church that people think is fake in Texas became way more real than anyone involved could have possibly imagined. There's Ivan Stang, co-founder, with an incredible shirt. The Church of the SubGenius may not be a household name across the country, but beginning in the early 1970s, a pair of enterprising Texas area satirists turned one wildly overt religious experiment into a genuine phenomenon. That evolving story forms the foundation of J.R. Bob Dobbs and the Church of the SubGenius. The film is the directorial debut of Sandy K. Boone, who served as an executive producer on films like Ethan Hawke's directed Blaze, Keith Matlin's recounting of 1966 University of Texas Austin shooting, Tower, and Lewis Black and Karen Bernstein 2016 cinematic profile Richard Linklater, Dream is Destiny. The SubGenius doc features with a number of notable Texans and a couple of people who have memories of the church, including Linklater himself, plus Nick Offerman, Penn Jillette, Gerald Cassell, and the late Margaret Moser. SubGenius founders Douglas St. Clair Smith, Ivan Stang, and Steve Wilcox, aka Dr. Philo Drummond, who also deliver their first-hand accounts of how their idea morphed into a social and financial runaway. Per the film's official synopsis, Smith and Wilcox fashioned a newly minted prophet, J.R. Bob Dobbs, and devised a crusade to expose the conspiracy of normalcy by using humor as the ultimate weapon. In showing the history of the SubGenius's evolution, Boone uses local television footage and archival tape from church events, both joyful and contentious. In the process, she shows how what started out as a gag became very real for some more ardent followers of Bob. And yeah, finally I can get rid of these links. Get rid of these links. Cool. I'm very happy that you could. Cool. I'm glad you showed up and watched Conan. It's gonna be a million times better, dude. Oh, you gotta fly to Texas to watch that. Anyone in Texas here? What's up, Tacoma? What happened? Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of some of these tabs. Sorry, I didn't mean to hypnotize you there. Oh, I'm so excited. 4 days. Yeah. There's a lot of fucking drama in the flat earth right now, man. I'm glad I'm not involved in any of it. I'm just slacking off, reading articles. I'm gonna call out some people. Man, there's a lot of crazy crap going on. All right, I'm gonna listen to the Sandy Boone's interview, and then I'm gonna watch the Lakers game tonight here. I gotta get rid of this shit though. All right. Nice. I'm gonna get rid of that. Hell yeah, it's fun. All right. That's not working. So can I wait? Yeah, I can get rid of that now. So now I can get rid of this. Awesome. Should I share this on Twitter? Yeah, I'll share this on Twitter real quick. Then I'll get rid of it. See, all this will make getting rid of these things will make my computer faster. I'll read this article real quick and then get rid of that. So I'll get rid of this. I'll get rid of that. This will be gone. That will be gone. This will be gone. And that's how you make my computer faster. So then, since I'll get rid of all that, then I can get rid of all these YouTube tabs because I do a lot of research, clearly. Come on. My computer's so slow. And then I'll relax. I'll listen to that interview by the director of the SubGenius documentary and Ivan Stang, and that will be sweet. Finally. It's just about getting your slack back, you know? Man, people take shit really seriously. Especially if they're involved in things they shouldn't be. I do need to get a better audio system, and I will buy a laptop here soon and make my computer faster. Thank you for being here. Let's see here, go to this. All right. Nope. Where is that song? Sorry, I'm looking for a very specific song. Alright, this is insane. There it is. If this doesn't... Alright, hold on. I'm sorry for making you wait so much. I'm about to play this. Come on. Man, I wish I had some alcohol. I've been sobering up. I haven't been drinking much at all. Alright, this interview should play any second here. And I'm going to read this in the meantime. Come on. Come on. Come on, man. How about the herb at least? Of course. Everything is so fucked, really the end is near. You could die tomorrow, there is only one thing to do. Pay Dobbs. See you later, Felix. Alright, let me refresh this. I'm gonna refresh it and then it'll work. And I'll get rid of this. And I'll get rid of this. So I'll refresh this. Got rid of all that. Hey, what's up? I'm just chilling, just looking at some stuff and. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. All right. Bye. What the fuck is going on here? Why is this not playing? Whoa. Technical difficulties here. Maybe I should cut this thing short. Alright, I might just cut this short. Play the interview another time. It's kind of lame. I wanted to include the interview in this. But what are you gonna do? Sometimes you gotta do some other shit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Boom, boom. Oh, man. Yeah. I definitely got to speed my computer up, that's for sure. What is this? There we go. Yeah. I got some building to do, though.
The Lights, Camera, Austin interview. Joining me now on Lights, Camera, Austin to discuss the South by Southwest documentary, J.R. Bob Dobbs and the Church of the SubGenius, our director, Sandy K. Boone, and one of the documentary subjects, Doug Smith, aka Reverend Ivan Stang of the Church of the SubGenius. Sandy, thank you very much for joining me today on Lights, Camera, Austin. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you very much. And Doug, I'm going to refer to you as Reverend Stang during the course of this interview. So, Reverend Stang, how are you doing today?
Just great. Thank you, Robert.
Well, thank you very much for joining me. And so both of you, how do you feel about your documentary, J.R. Bob Dobbs and the Church of the SubGenius, receiving its premiere right here in Austin at the South by Southwest Film Festival?
I'm very excited about that. We actually, the Church of the SubGenius between Austin and Dallas, it's actually started there. So very exciting that it's actually premiering here in town.
Well, I'm just thrilled that the movie was not only made, but really done well. I'm really thrilled with the way it's kind of a difficult subject to tackle. But it's a really interesting story, and I think Sandy did a great job of focusing on the main elements of the whole thing. It's really entertaining and funny, as it should be, with a lot of serious moments. So I couldn't be happier with it, really.
Sandy and Reverend Stang, for those who are not familiar with the Church of the SubGenius, obviously the documentary is a good introduction. But just for the sake of this interview, can you just briefly describe the Church of the SubGenius and sort of what its role is as a parody religion?
Doug, why don't you take that one?
Well, since we're talking about the documentary, which actually is pretty factual, I'm going to step out of character and rather than puzzling the audience terribly, I'll try to explain that my partner, Philo Drummond, and I, 35 years ago, used to collect kook pamphlets and extremist literature. We were just fascinated by the range of human beliefs and how gullible people could be. And we realized that we could print up our own little pastiche of cultish, bizarre, weirdo philosophy, and just leave it. The idea was to just leave this pamphlet around in laundromats just to freak people out. We weren't planning to start a religion, and as hard as we've tried not to let it become one, it keeps wanting to do that. But really, what we're doing is a very long-term, collaborative, satirical project that makes fun of everything, but is kind of focused on, the new age, woo-woo, as we might call it, fanatical religions and political beliefs, weird art, especially the lowest kind of kitsch. We threw lots of our favorite monster movies and comic book characters and things into this mix, and it was fun, a lot of fun, and we got a lot more interest than we expected. The cartoonist Robert Crumb picked up on it and reprinted it. That reached a lot of people, and we ended up doing a humor book, originally with McGraw-Hill, and then with Simon & Schuster, called The Book of the SubGenius, which is still in print after all this time. We ended up, several of us ended up doing weekly radio shows. So mine, The Hour of Slack, there's the Puzzling Evidence show in California, and Bob's Slack Time Fun House in Atlanta, and a lot of other spin-offs. So it's been this multimedia project involving a lot of really weird artists and interesting characters. It's kind of like a flypaper for weirdos. And we also attract a certain amount of actual kooks who take it a little too seriously. And again, I'm stepping out of character because we're talking about the documentary.
And what would your answer be if you were speaking as Reverend Eidenstein?
Well, in 1953, our guru, J.R. Bob Dobbs, the saint of sales, as other salesmen referred to him due to his uncanny luck, while working on a television set of his own design, he stepped in a puddle of water and electrocuted himself, and he had a vision of in which the original alien space god, calling itself Jehovah One, revealed to Bob that throughout history there's been a conspiracy of normal people keeping down the weirdos, the different, anything that wasn't normal. And he also predicted, or it was revealed to Bob, that on July 5th, 1998, these aliens from Planet X would come down and beam up all the dues-paying SubGenius faithful, grant them all their own Death Stars, and let them do whatever they want. Shoot it out with all the normals on planet Earth, or just go off to Planet X and party forever. One of the main slogans of the church is eternal salvation or triple your money back. Not many other religions offer that money back guarantee. On the other hand, eternal salvation is kind of hard to prove, one way or the other. It takes a long time.
And the church practices slack, which is not really defined at all by the church, but by its individual members. From what I gathered from the documentary, the goal is to achieve a state of slack, which again, it's sort of the individual deciding, at what point they're not harried by others, that including the establishment, aka the normals. Is that sort of a kind of a good loose definition of something that is not defined?
Right. Slack is different for each person. And there's some pretty peculiar forms of slack out there. The simple-minded concept of it is, they're just slackers, meaning they just want to sit around and drink beer and play video games, watch TV. And that certainly is a great form of slack for lots of people, me included. But some of us also get slack from working our tails off on something that we really wanted to work on. And I think Sandy's movie is a really good example of that. That was extremely hard work. They filmed all over the place. I can't imagine how many hours of footage they had. They also had access to all of my archives, and I've been filming and recording this stuff for the whole time. But they did a great job of condensing it down to the main elements and keeping it entertaining and explanatory at the same time. It's a delicate line. It's kind of a tightrope, and they did a great job with it.
And also, the background story is really important, because I knew Doug, and I knew Steve Wilcox or Philo Drummond, and my late husband were all friends. And so when the church originally originated, then my husband was a part of the group, and they were all filmmakers and artists or performance art, and they all worked. I knew them, you know. And it was a time in Austin where you could have a master's degree and you were on an assembly line. No one could find a decent job. Some of these men, most of the group, worked full-time jobs, and then on top of that, then they would do these movies and performance art after hours. So anything, but they were creative and very unusual, but they were not lazy in any sense of the word.
No, most of us did have day jobs. I was a business film editor at the time that I was and a new father at the time that we were assembling that first pamphlet. So I'm still trying to catch up on my sleep since 1980 when all this started.
Sandy, you have a great familiarity with the Church of the SubGenius. So at what point did you decide, I want to make a documentary, a definitive history of the church from its founders, from its members' viewpoint?
We were at Sundance for another movie, and I was with someone, one of the nurses that was a part of the group, and we were talking about it, and that made me decide to say, well, you know, we should make a doc of it. And it was also to honor my late husband, and also we were friends with Jonathan Demme that passed away in 2017, and there's been this long-term relationship of old friends that were part of the group. And so I contacted Doug, and I, reintroduced myself, because he knew me when I was 20, and he really was close friends with my husband, but not with me. I mean, I was on the outskirts. And so,
were you a member of the church?
No.
But your husband was?
That's the joke. Go ahead.
Sandy and David were at the very first event that you could call a SubGenius devival, as we call them. A party at Philo's house with a band that was involved with the church called the Pink Boys.
Correct.
Unfortunately disbanded. But Sandy and David were there right at the very beginning. They saw where it was coming from, which was coming. It was coming from a place of terrible creative frustration.
Well, and no money whatsoever. But my husband was actually a member of the church. He was Grupo de la Rosa, and he was just a redneck, messed up person.
His character was a really damning individual who had been sort of brainwashed by Bob. That is, our guru that no one ever sees, except as a graphic. That smiling guy with the pipe that you see spray painted on young people's faces, backs, and bridge abutments and things. That's actually a trademark, and it's the portrait of Bob. But it looks like a piece of advertising art from the 50s. There's full of all the old magazines from the 50s. You skim through them, and every advertisement had these square-looking Ward Cleaver, Dick Van Dyke-looking guys with pikes. and we decided that those are all the same guy. That's Bob Dobbs, and he's planting evidence of himself for the, for the frustrated punks and hippies of the future, and it worked.
Yeah. But back to, and what happened was I ended up contacting Doug and asking him had a documentary been done and would he be interested, and he said actually they had tried before but it just was never completed, and so I was so excited, and I said they knew I was always the straight person. I'm considered a normal. I actually worked just a regular job and took care of the family and provided finances.
We all had to
right. Right. And so he agreed, and he said, I go, because I'm not typically funny. I'm not this tongue-in-cheek humor. My husband had it, Doug and them have it, but that wasn't me. I was I can have a division and I can break it down and I can get the job done. And that's really my gifting.
And once Doug, aka Reverend Ivan Stein, and Steve Wilcox, aka the drummer, were on board, was it then just easy to sort of get the other members or former members of the Church of SubGenius to open up and talk with you?
Exactly. If it hadn't been for Doug and Philo, there's no way they would have spoken to me. They didn't really know me or remember me. It was all Doug and Steve Wilcox. Yes.
Well, we did make our own documentary about the church. It's called Arise, but it was the kind of thing that would only appeal to people who were already SubGeniuses, you might say. It was preaching to the choir, and it was. I had sort of tried to do a more prosaic documentary that would be something that the regular audience would understand, but we just never could. And we needed somebody from a little bit further outside who understood it but wasn't too close to it. And Sandy was an experienced film producer, and we felt like she was the kind of person who could actually make this thing happen.
I think he honestly knew that I cared about them too.
It's been tried before, and it's not easy. But if you look at the film, why they make it look easy.
Well, and Sandy, given that you are dealing with a parody history that it's about 4 decades old, yes. and a parody religion that you, as sort of the ultimate outsider, you're an outsider, but you have as much intimacy with the church as an insider would without being a member. Talk a little bit about sort of going over the history of the Church of SubGenius and deciding kind of what you want to cover over the course of 85 minutes. Is this a case of, the history dictates where the documentary goes, or you're kind of looking at the history and deciding what you really want to cover extensively over the course of 85 minutes or so?
85 minutes, that's amazing.
We used a lot of the history, but we were really trying to show that when the church began, it was a typical boys club and just fun and a creative release for these guys. But it also, over time, how they practiced and studied and went to things about what cults do, and as they did them, they were even shocked and surprised that how so many people so desperately needed attention and wanted to be a part of a group, how they joined on, and how it actually turned.
Sound familiar?
If it weren't for Doug and Philo managing and watching out, there are those people out there that are absolutely desperate, and it could have turned into a real cult. And that's what that's what I wanted to show them, is how even in fun and games, the loneliness and need of people to be accepted, and how this thing could spiral out of control. And then I took it from that to showing how so it was the funny haha and the history of the church, but then I turned it around and showed how our government today is using cult practices to divide people and use them to get what they want out of each other. Yes.
Doug, aka Reverend Stein, at what point did you feel that the church became less about you and Steve, aka Philo, and more about others, that perhaps this was something becoming something bigger than you intended it to be?
Well, it was always about Bob. We kept the focus on Bob, which so I generally was presenting myself as just kind of I just work here. I'm just a scribe on this thing. The first people who got in contact with us after encountering this weird little publication we've done, all of them got it, but as we got better and better known in the early '80s, it did start to attract people that I could only describe as differently sane, and I learned not to just let any SubGenius come stay at my house. we had a lot of interesting house guests, and after a while it got a little bit too interesting. But what Sandy's film does a really good job of is putting the whole thing in perspective with the current events of the time. A lot of what we were doing was a reaction against what we saw as kind of, I mean, there really is a conspiracy of normal people just instinctively keeping down anything different. It's just a kind of a fear of the different. And there's, you see a lot of the clips in the film that remind you of the atmosphere of the times. For instance, at Jonestown, mass suicide had happened. There's references to the Heaven's Gate thing. A lot of people thought that was us at first.
Right. And that one of the lines, though, the reason we used the Jonestown is because we said if one of their slogans was if Jim Jones could have 900 people kill themselves, we can get 900 people to give us $1. And so that's
Yeah, the funny thing is nobody believes that we're really asking for $1 anymore. $1 is like a penny, you know. They think it's a joke. However, they don't mind spending more. Nobody wants to spend $1. But how can you get anything for that? Actually, the pamphlet's not bad. But, it's and also we were working and living in Dallas, which is aptly described as the buckle on the Bible Belt. So we were big fans of a lot of radio preachers that we thought were pretty outrageous, but at the same time they were also very entertaining and kind of easy to imitate. At first, I hadn't found my own preacher voice, and I was kind of doing a pseudo Jimmy Swaggart. He was a really talented evangelist, kind of the Mick Jagger of preachers, and we borrowed a lot from some of those guys in terms of just dramatic and outrageous accusations and promises made in sermons. That kind of thing is really fun to do. I did not plan on being a preacher. I kind of had stage fright, but there was another guy in Dallas who used the name Reverend Buck Naked, who was doing SubGenius preaching, and he was funny. He came up with some great ideas, but I didn't like his style completely. I felt like, okay, somebody's got to do it. I guess it's me. So I got over my stage fright. Gradually, we found ourselves doing working with rock and roll bands and strange experimental bands that we called doctor bands, and doing shows in clubs. Not usually real fancy clubs, just bars and things, but occasionally we would be invited to do our art museum performances. They seemed to think we were doing performance art. I had never heard of, but apparently that's one of the many things we were doing. We were also doing mail art, which was a big thing in the 80s, just before the internet. When the internet hit, kind of saved us from total obscurity. I was about to give up on the whole thing. It was just costing more than it was making. Somehow, I guess Bob was siphoning off all the real profit in some magical way. But the internet made it possible for fringe people to encounter each other a lot easier. By the same token, it allows people to live in their own little bubble of delusion, because there's always 10,000 other people that believe what you want to believe. But we had a lot of fun with the internet. Plus, it opened our radio shows up to a much wider audience. You can hear them anywhere in the world now. So that kind of thing was like free publicity, and it kept us going. I got to the point where it was a full-time job for me, and I kind of quit working for other folks back in the late 90s. What a relief. So I basically run all the mail order side of the whole thing, which is not hard to keep up with. It's a little bit like being the people that make ant farms, or the little brine shrimp families that they sell in comic books.
But one of the things one of the things even before the internet, by word of mouth, because of all these artists, it was attracting more and more people, and Devo really brought it into the light too. They were very, very interested in Mark Mothersbaugh, and they actually showed up at one of the main revivals in Dallas Fort Worth. But then we knew, I mean, Austin was a very different place then. And so Jonathan Demme, he's done Silence of the Lambs in Philadelphia and a lot, but he actually came to town, and he would come to our house. It was before he became well off, and they would come to Austin just to hang out and listen to the music and stuff. And he brought David Byrne to the house, and he brought John Sayles, and it was like they all came out and hang out to have dinner. It was just normal people, and they loved the tongue-in-cheek humor, and before you know it, it just took off in many different areas. So there is like an Arkansas, group, and there's a New York group, and there's a San Francisco group. So
Sandy, with your documentary, J.R. Dobbs and Church of SubGenius, you chronicled the good times and you chronicled the bad times. And so there seems to be this demarcation mark when it comes to July 5th, 1998, which is X Day. This is a date that the Church of the SubGenius claimed before the date that it would be the day that the members would get power over the normals. And I'm kind of wondering if that day, did you see that when you were doing your research and sort of observing the church in action? Did you see this approaching date as perhaps something that would be challenging to the church, and especially in how it would get past that date and continue to remain active?
Yes, and it was actually very difficult to figure out from that point on we wanted. In the movie, we're trying to make people think maybe the church was ended, maybe, keeping them curious the entire time. And so the movie somewhat ends like 3 different times, and we're showing how they just keep coming back and keep coming back. And as Doug will tell you that they never, when they gave that date, they never thought that the church would be around in 1998. So then all of a sudden here it's there. And so they turned it into this performance art and made a big joke out of it. And Doug has this, the way you say that when you're saying, sometimes it may be 1998, sometimes, can you do that little spiel? I think it's real funny how, where we're talking about the last revival where you described, well, it didn't happen in 1998, but it could be the next date.
Well, we don't know what year this really is. We don't, and we're just taking their word for what planet this is, for that matter. So consequently, we're out there waiting for the world to end every July 5th. If we'd known we'd have to get up at 7 in the morning every July 5th for 25 years, we might have set a different time. But that wasn't up to us. So, we can't tell the men from Planet X when to show up and destroy the unbelievers and save the believers. So we faithfully gather in various campgrounds. Usually, we like to keep it challenging.
It's true.
We don't want it to turn into like science fiction and comic conventions. in motels. Those are fun, but we wanted it to be more of an adventure.
Yeah, more
also,
organic.
we couldn't afford motels. And so it became this regular camp out, and the veterans of the X-Day events are really good friends. We've also hooked up, there's a kind of a neo-pagan festival that happens at the same place called Starwood Festival. It's much bigger and has people who are a little bit more serious about their beliefs, but they're very eclectic at the same time. And there's been quite a bit of crossover between us and the pagans, and as Sandy pointed out, the bands like Devo. It's always weird novelty bands for some reason, people wearing masks. And the underground comic books of the late 70s and early 80s, those were a huge influence on Philo and me, and a lot of the other main collaborators, some of whom were those same comic book artists that we admired, like Paul Mavrides and Gilbert Shelton, who did the fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. Actually, they both worked on that. And Gilbert's an Austin. He was originally from Austin. And I've run into several old hippies in Austin that claimed they knew the fabulous Furry Freak Brothers in real life, but they never did exist in real life. They were just characters that based on types that Gilbert had encountered. And likewise, we run into people who swear that they met J.R. Bob Dobbs. We even run into people who claim they are Bob Dobbs.
Yeah. And that's something else about 1998. The problem, this is an organization run by humans and with human frailties. And so there were lives caught up in this, and how families, were harmed by just because they were associated with SubGenius, even though it wasn't this vile, evil thing but it was made out to be. And I think it was really important to show that mental stability of different people also affected it, and the church's input from Papa John Mama, where he got on NPR right after certain events, and he spilled stuff, and he made it look like it was truly evil, which was never supposed to be.
And was there any discussion about perhaps ending dissolving the Church of the SubGenius once you hit that July 5th, 1998 date, that perhaps, you've hit this date and this would be a good time to sort of, okay, this was fun while it lasted, and let's now move forward, go our separate ways.
Well, that's what some people expected would happen, but the way we looked at it was, this is the first time we've actually made any money off this thing. Let's keep it going. I'm really glad we did. I mean, it was pretty dicey for a while there. How do you balance making a living with this thing that it doesn't really, it's never going to be a big fad. It's never going to make us rich. If it did, that would mean we were doing something dreadfully wrong, and it would only last a few months.
Well, it didn't help.
It would be burned out.
Yeah, but it didn't help either that their premise was, get slack and everybody quit their jobs. So all of a sudden you have all these members with no jobs and no money.
And the Church of SubGenius motto is effort they can't take a joke. And the whole point is, you either get the joke immediately or you don't get the joke at all. But how do you deal with the people who latched onto the Church of SubGenius, didn't get the joke, and sort of decided that this was something that they wanted to be a part of for simply because they felt like outsiders? This was a group that they felt aligned with, and that they took very seriously, as opposed to sort of realizing that it is a parody religion.
Right, Dan, tell them about your first crazy that you stepped, when you were doing one of the revivals in San Francisco.
Yeah, we had probably the biggest show we ever did was 1984 in San Francisco. It was such a big show that we had a Bob lookalike there who was shot by one of his own followers. that was the end of the show. Well, a lot of people thought the church would end right there, but there was a guy who came up to me afterwards, and he was furious because he was saying things like, dang, those people in Dallas that invented this are going to kill you for turning it into some kind of Sonny and Cher comedy thing. I mean, this is serious. He'd pull out the copy of the book of the SubGenius that he marked up, and he'd go, look what it says right here. Stop what you are doing now. And I'm like, yeah, I wrote that myself. What the hell are you talking about? Now, I had never encountered anybody like that before, and it was hard for me to believe it was even happening. But every year there was one or two that would try to tell us what we were doing wrong, you know, by being funny or, I mean, these people really wanted to get the normals. Whereas what we were doing was a takeoff on the tendency of people to divide everything into us and them in these simplified ways. And what we're trying to do is pop holes in stereotypes and you know, point out that, I don't know, we're a cartoon of the people's tendency to turn reality into a cartoon.
That's true.
Which has become easier now with the internet. It's oddly enough, it didn't spread education, it spread different forms of delusion faster than anything.
Was there a point though when it for you, as an outsider, Sandy looking in, and as Doug obviously is heavily involved in the church, was there a point when perhaps it no longer was a joke? I know you go into sort of post-Columbine, post-9/11 in the documentary, but looking inward, looking outward, was there a point that it just, the sort of joke wasn't funny anymore?
Oh no, because we kept it mutated so fast. There were so many people involved, and we pick on ourselves. I mean, one of the things that we're making fun of the most is ourselves. It's like it's kind of hard to explain, but we know how weird we may look to others, and we try to play on that, and at the same time try to keep the really angry people. We're trying to get them laughing again. You know, it's not a room full of people chanting; it's a room full of people laughing. That's how it keeps from turning into a cult. And you know, when somebody starts taking it too seriously, they start getting made fun of by all the other SubGeniuses around them, and then they get offended, and then they spend the rest of their lives talking about how we're just money grubbing bad guys. I wish.
But we have to say that's true.
I wish I knew how to be a better money grubber, but we unfortunately decided to start an anti-business, an anti-art project, and an anti-science project.
Yes, but in all honesty, though, we have to admit that during 9/11 and also the Columbine situation, but it wasn't that there was the entire United States and the world were struggling with how do we make a joke about something that's so painful? How do we help people through their mourning, you know, and make them see the other side, because humor does that for people. And so, you know, F them if they don't take a joke, but how far? And it wasn't just the SubGenius, it was late night comedy and talk shows and stuff were all struggling, you know, with when can we make a joke of this? How do we make a joke of this? Or is this where it ends with the joke? You know,
has there been renewed interest in the Church of SubGenius during Trump's presidency?
I think so. Doug, you would have to answer that in one way, but as far as when I come in, first I'm explaining again what the church is about and everything, and I look totally normal, and they're going, what are you doing? You know what? And I'm going, you have to understand the influence this group had and how many people it actually helped. It didn't just, you know, and lifted up and raised up, and how it causes people to truly think outside of the box. And I'm just so proud of that. And I also can see it when they're making humor from politics, and they're poking and pointing at all of our human frailties as human beings, whether no matter what political stance you take, you know, they'll jump on the opposite side of either way you can go.
So, Doc, has there been renewed interest in the church, and are you expecting more interest once the documentary, J.R. Dobbs and the Church of SubGenius starts playing the festival circuit and receives a release?
We've had a record of about every 10 years we're the coolest thing on the block for about a month. I think when the movie comes out, and I hope lots of people see it, I think a lot of people go, what? They're still around? I remember that. Boy, that's all we could talk about in college 30 years ago. And now they've got a little bit more money, so you know, that may be helpful. I certainly wouldn't mind selling more ordainments. You know, we do actually ordain. I am an actual minister, technically. I can do marriages. I've lost count of how many people I've married together. And a lot of them were folks who met because of the Church of the SubGenius. It actually has done a lot more people good than it's harmed anybody, because a lot of them just felt alone. They didn't know there was anybody else out there thinking those kinds of thoughts, especially in small towns. And they'd run into this SubGenius stuff, either the book or maybe even one of the radio shows, and go, wow, I have brothers and sisters out there somewhere. I've got to know more about this. Of course, other people just think it's funny, and they don't want to meet any SubGeniuses in real life.
But in all actuality,
that's kind of sad, because they're actually mostly really, really interesting. I've met some of the coolest and longest lasting friends of my life through this thing. It's been great for a lot of us, just in terms of making friends.
Levity too. But also, you know, when we started this, the one thing that you were concerned about is Doug is 65 now, and the group is getting older, and he didn't want to pass away, and this turned into a real cult, you know, and that he said that he wanted to make sure that, you know, he broke character, and that he let people know without question that this is a joke, always has been a joke.
So does...
Well, it's a joke, but it has a serious aspect.
Yes.
Nuggets of wisdom buried in the manure, one way of somebody put it. But yeah, there is a tendency for people to want to make it into like a little army, a little fight club thing, and this has happened before. There's a lot of cases of, I mean, really large fringe religions growing from things that were originally satirical pamphlets. It's for hundreds of years that has happened, and you'd think, right, that nobody could look at this stuff and take it at face value, but there's much weirder things out there that people do take very seriously. And so, yeah, I wanted to make sure that it was understood where this came from. It's not magic.
So it's a plan, Doug, for when you and when your co-founder, Steve Wilcox, and Father Drummond, pass away for the church to come to an end?
I don't think we have any power over that. It's I'd say most of the vast majority of people out there on the internet who identify themselves as SubGeniuses or SubGenius fans never actually joined or spent any money in at all. And there's a group called the Discordians that was started as just for fun by a couple of people. It got bigger and bigger. The guy who originally wrote the Discordian stuff disavowed it and dropped out. But you still run into obnoxious Discordians today. There's a lot of crossover between us and them. And we were inspired by a Discordian-based novel called Illuminatus by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson, who later became my friends. So it'll continue long after we're dead, but there will always be Sandy's movie that people can pull out and go, hey, look, thumb down. This is where this came from.
But it wouldn't. In a way, I really would love to reach the younger generation, 18 to 35, right now, and show them this, and show them what the joke is, and this tongue-in-cheek humor, so they could use it themselves and to help them in their world. You know.
Wrapping up.
There's always new ones coming along. I mean, I sell at least 2 or 3 of those ordainments every day. I wish it was more like 10 of them every day, like it was in about 15 years ago.
Well, maybe after the movie comes out.
It will. That'll happen for a while, but I'm not expecting to be suddenly on late night talk shows or anything like that. That would be great, but, because it's long overdue. But we're not. It only pretends to be a get-rich-quick scheme. I've run into so many people who just had such a shallow understanding of it. They honestly thought that we were just trying to rip people off with this fake religion, and we're not. We're trying to inoculate them against fake religion, and for a really low price, which I won't go into.
And fake news and fake anything, you know? Right.
Wrapping up, Doug has running the Church of the SubGenius left you as Doug in a constant state of slack?
I actually do have Slack. I can say now that Slack is real. A lot of it is I've got a wonderful family and a great wife and good dogs, and I'm not in terrible stress over my future. Some of us are getting older, and we're having to deal with aging and ailing friends and so forth. But I personally, and I can speak for Philo in this respect, we both have we've had a really, really good run. And it's, I feel like Bob gave us slack in some strange way, Twilight Zone way, perhaps. But it's worked out for us, and we'd like to share as much slack as we can. There's no end to slack. At the bottomless pit, everyone was born with original slack. We're just there to remind them of that.
Well, to laugh at yourself and to laugh at some of the things in the world too, right? And not take yourself too seriously.
And
it's a pep talk. Yeah. It really is. It's a pep talk for people who are feeling alone and hopeless. We can't. It may be hopeless, but somehow we can get them to laugh at that fact for a little while.
And Sandy, have you ever achieved a state of slack?
Actually,
being a non-member of the Church of the SubGenius.
Yes, actually, I've always walked in faith, and even through difficult trials in my life, my death of my late husband, and as we're getting older, Doug is right. Many of our dear friends have passed away, but you're just grateful for every day above ground, and try to see the life in a positive.
And finally, both for you, Sandy and Doug, are there any plans in terms of the documentary? If we begin into, I guess, this year's July 5th X Days event?
Oh, Doug hadn't talked about that, but it'd be absolutely acceptable if we would like to do that, yes.
Well, Sandy and Doug, thank you very much for joining me today on Lights, Camera, Awesome. Just
mind down of that.
Well, faith and
finally, both for you, Sandy and Doug, are there any plans in terms of the documentary? If we begin into, I guess, this year's July 5th X Days event?
Oh, Doug hadn't talked about that, but it'd be absolutely acceptable if we would like to do that, yes.
Well, Sandy and Doug, thank you very much for joining me today on Lights, Camera, Awesome to discuss J.R. Dobbs, J.R. Bob Dobbs, and the Church of the SubGenius. Good luck when the documentary screens during this year's South by Southwest Film Festival.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us on.
Finally. I thank you all for being here. You are all very good individuals. Please like, share, and subscribe. Take a look at the description. I appreciate you all.